Hi, this is Mr. Malay, and here is your video review for the upcoming test in geography. It's coming tomorrow. Things you need to know. You need to know where the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf are. You need to know what Mesopotamia was, that land between the rivers. You need to know what a salt flat is, desalinization, making salt water fresh water. You know what is a wadi, which is the dried up stream bed that only runs at certain times. You know what a qanat is, and we watched that video about how they make those, the underground tube to carry water to cities and farms. You know what a noria is. You know what the Rub al-Khali is, that desert. You need to know what it means for food to be kosher. You need to know what Passover celebrates, what it means when they celebrate Shabbat. You need to know that Abraham was the founder of Judaism, the Ten Commandments, how they are important in Christianity and Judaism. You need to know who Muhammad was, Moses and Jesus, and what roles they played in each of their respective religions. You know what jihad means. You know that Islam is a word that means submission. You know what a Quran is, a mosque, a synagogue. You know what happens on the celebration of Easter, what we celebrate. You need to know, like in Ramadan, they don't eat during the day for a month. You know what a Bedouin is, those nomadic Arab groups. What the Kaaba is and how they, what part it plays in their celebrations. You know what Mecca is and what its importance is. You know what Hanukkah is and how they celebrate it and what they celebrate. And you know what the Hajj is. And why they celebrate and what they're celebrating. You need to know how many gods they worship in Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. You know what the word arid means, which is mostly dry, not moist. You need to know about Iran, which is the only mostly Shia Islam country in the world. Israel, which is the only country in the world that is based on Judaism. And we talked a lot about Israel, the 6-Day War, how British took over what was then called Palestine, today is called Israel. And you need to know about the conflict between them. We talked about this in class a lot. Spent most of a day talking about it. You need to know about these areas and why they were so important in Christianity and in Judaism and in Islam, and why, how the fighting started over these territories. You know that most of the oil money is in the Middle East is made out of oil. You need to know about Saddam Hussein and the fact that he killed over 200,000 Kurds. You know what ethnic cleansing means. You need to know about Afghanistan was taken over by the USSR. Then the Taliban ran it, and then we invaded in 2001, and now it's kind of shaky. You know Saddam Hussein, who he was the leader of, and what kind of a guy he was. Once again, we've talked about this before. You have to do it again. Why is the city of Jerusalem holy in all three major religions? What was Golgotha? It was a place that Jesus was crucified at. And what does it look like? You need to know about Hamas, what it is. You know about the Crusades. What were they like? How did they get started? We talked about them before. We've learned about the Crusades before. How were they started? What was their purpose? What was it like? You need to know about the 6-Day War. You need to know about Yasser Arafat, that former Palestinian leader who caused so much death and destruction. We talked about him. You need to know about Sharia law, which we already talked about a little bit of Sharia law. Basics of Sharia law. It is Muslim law, and it's very violent. It's seen as us very, whipping for minor offenses. You get your hand cut off for stealing. You can be beheaded. And we also talked about this and what it's like for women who live under Sharia, and there's a video available online. It can be very brutal, very harsh, It's not in any way fair to women. Force them to dress up and completely covered. They can be beaten or even killed for adultery. Even if they're assaulted, this can happen. So make sure you have a lot of information on that. Make sure you can talk about terrorism and 9/11. We talked about this a little bit, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. But us invading Afghanistan and Iraq after 9/11, led to some significant changes. You need to be able to talk about ISIS. You definitely need to be able to talk about ISIS, which we learned about today. But ISIS is the group that is kind of taking charge right now in Iraq, or trying to take charge in Iraq. So yeah, you need to know about this guy right here. You need to know about what their country was like, how it was invaded, toppled, and yeah, we're going to learn a little bit more about a group named ISIS today, and very brutal group, very controlling of women. Want to set up a new caliphate, basically make it into a bad situation. Same thing with Afghanistan. Their countries were taken over by us afterwards because they were very much involved in 9/11 hijacking. We're also going to learn about a sport that they play there, which is really cool. You need to know who the Kurds are. Ethnic group. They don't have their own country, but they just want to be left alone and to live their lives. All right. And the biggest thing you're going to need to be able to tell me about is the creation of the nation of Israel. We just talked about this over and over again. How the nation of Israel was created, which it was created after World War II to give the homeland to the Jews, so they would have someplace to live after the Holocaust. The 6-Day War, the Arab countries attacking Israel. The Arab countries losing badly. And the fact that there was a plan to create a Palestinian state, but it never ever happened. It was never done, and a lot of that is because of this guy Yasser Arafat, who wanted to create a Palestinian state and create a Palestinian government. There's a Palestinian government, but there's no country that they exist in, and broke a lot of peace accords. And of course, then you need to know about Hamas, which is a terrorist group that is in charge of the Palestinians, and that's a struggle. That's why Jewish lawmakers don't want to work with them a lot. But very tense situation. Okay, so if you study all those things, you're going to be doing great on the quiz. Oh, you also need to know about the 5 pillars of Islam. You need to be able to tell me 3 of them. The 5 pillars of Islam, of course, were the Declaration of Faith, almsgiving, also known as zakat, the pilgrimage to Mecca, the fast at Ramadan, and praying 5 times a day. And those are the 5 pillars of Islam. So if you study all those things, you'll be doing great for the quiz tomorrow.